Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. Today with us we have Linux Lite 8.0 powered by Ubuntu 26.04. That's the LTS version, and also running Linux kernel 7.0 under the hood. It has a massive host of changes from GTK4 apps to a new installer, and if you're interested, grab a cup of coffee, grab a drink, and let's dive right in. Okay, welcome to Linux Lite. Now this is Linux Lite 8.0. They named it Hematite for some reason, and I think I love that name. Linux Lite is a fantastic operating system. It was primarily meant to serve as a very user-friendly operating system that not only installs on modern computers, but also has a very good purpose on older computers. Like I remember installing Linux Lite, I think 6.0 on my dad's Core 2 Duo computer, and that Core 2 Duo was from 2009, and it ran flawlessly. Like I could do 720p YouTube, basic browsing, and then my dad could do file transfers. And even though we got a MacBook Air for him later, Linux Lite did serve very well on that old Core 2 Duo. So I have full confidence in Linux Lite, and they always have a very good support when it comes to their Linux software. Let's go ahead and install Linux Lite onto our computer, and then we can proceed. So this is the new Calamares Installer. I actually love this installer. It's really good, and it looks cool as well, and I love what they've done with the theming and adding the logo of Linux Lite to this installer. Let's hit on next. We're in Asia, Kolkata, at least that's my time zone. Click on next. English United States by default, so we're gonna stick to that. Let's click on next, and then you have the option to either install this alongside an existing operating system, erase everything that you had on the hard disk or SSD and give it to Linux Lite, or you can partition the hard disk or SSD manually using Gparted. So what we are going to do is actually erase the disk and install. So we're going to hit this, and it shows you a little preview of what's going to happen after it formats everything and the space is taken up by Linux Lite. So click on next, and now this is time to enter your name and password. So we're going to do that, and let's click on next. Now once we click on next, we do get a beautiful preview of what's going to happen to our computer, or rather the SSD or hard disk, whatever you're installing it to, and it will install Linux Lite onto that. Now I will actually not install this right now, and there is a very good reason for this. Don't worry, Linux Lite isn't bad. I have a different reason. I'm gonna get to it way later in the video, so stick around to find out. Anyway, with that out of the way, we are actually going to discover and explore Linux Lite, and it's a fantastic operating system. And I'm not just saying this for the sake of saying this, I actually mean it, having used it in the past. Now, let's look over a few things, right? So we already talked about the start menu. It has a few categories. You have your different file explorers over here. You have different categories, so settings, accessories, games, graphics, internet. You do get a couple of good bundled applications with this. For example, you get VLC Media Player out of the box. That's pretty good. For Office, you get the LibreOffice Suite. And for Inside System, you have different categories from the settings page. And at the bottom, you have a taskbar on which you have a few pinned apps. So we have Firefox, which is the new web browser, and they included Firefox after removing Google Chrome after popular demand. That's what happened. We also have Thunar. This is the file manager for XFCE. XFCE is very lightweight, like I said, and it's pretty good for the old computers. After this, you also have the Lite terminal, which I think looks absolutely fantastic. And moving on, we have a couple of apps. So the apps which are minimized, they show up like this, which is a kind of Windows XP style appearance. And over to the right, you have different workspaces that you can switch to. Unfortunately, you don't have too many animations in XFCE. And then you have, I think this is the updater, and then the Wi-Fi or internet connectivity. Then this is the volume panel, and then you have the date and time and calendar if you click on that. So yeah, that's it. Okay, so what is new this time around? Like I said, this is being based on the latest Ubuntu 26.04 LTS Resolute Raccoon and is powered by Linux kernel 7.0. You don't believe me? Let's type uname-a, and there you go. So we are actually based on Linux kernel 7.0, and this means you get the latest Mesa drivers, you get the latest drivers to run all of your latest processors, Linux processors, Intel processors or AMD processors. You're not going to have a problem. This is literally the latest kernel, and I think today 7.1 RC1 was released. I could be wrong, but yeah, that's pretty good. With that out of the way, let's try and look at some of the new things that they have done this time around. So they do have a web page mentioning what they have done. So this is the page, and it literally says Series 8 represents 14 years of community-driven purpose, culminating in Linux Lite's largest development cycle ever. A brand new installer, new performance-driven kernels, end-to-end GTK theming, plentiful customization, a game center that gives you all the tools, a slew of new in-house applications, written in GTK4 by the way, and unprecedented translation coverage. We're going to talk about all of these, right? So let's come down, and as for the platform changes, like I said, the new name is Hematite, and you do get two different kernels. You get a gaming kernel and you get a desktop kernel. Linux Lite applications have been translated into 22 languages. So if you speak Bangla, if you speak Hindi, if you speak Arabic, this is not going to be a problem for you. All the GUI applications have been ported to GTK4. This is excellent news, and they do look pretty good. I checked it out myself. The ISO has been slimmed down from 2.77 gigabytes to 2.36 gigabytes. We are getting Calamares, which we saw. Firefox makes a return. Python is getting the new version, which is 3.14. btop is replacing htop. So if you go to the terminal and type btop, this is the new btop. It looks really good, man. Anyway, we're going to keep it running in the background, and let's see what kind of performance metrics we're able to capture at the end of the session. Also, we are replacing Synaptic Package Manager by a new and expanded Lite software. We're getting the Dirty Frag vulnerability patched. We have ButterFS and XFS file systems added. We have support for JPEG XL, HEIC image, and also some Lite apps are hard-coded with a dark theme because, according to them, it gives a better complementary contrast effect. You also get a new Lite info, the new detection method now completes significantly faster. You get a new Plymouth boot theme, animated feather spinner, script-based. It replaces the text-based animation. And now in the desktop, we already saw that it was translated to 23 languages. And also we have an OEM installer for hardware vendors. So if I minimize this, you can see we do have install Linux Lite for OEM. So this is pretty good. Now moving on, let's go below. So talking about the new applications in Linux Lite, right? We do have a host of applications, and they have now been written in Python using GTK4, and these include Linux Lite Advanced Performance Kernels, About, Core, Distro Builder, Driver Manager, a lot of things. We're going to talk about all of these, right? So let's go ahead, let's type Lite, and if you type Lite, you're going to see all the different software in here, okay? So again, starting with About Lite, and you can see I am running a Skylake processor. This is probably more than 10 years old by now. This is on an HP laptop, and I have 16 gigs of RAM and a 1 terabyte Toshiba hard disk, and also a Radeon graphics card that was probably good for nothing, right? So anyway, we're gonna ignore that, but look how beautiful these apps look. I absolutely adore the look of these apps, right? And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna minimize these apps, let it stay in the RAM, and I'm gonna judge how much RAM is taken up at the end of the video. Next up is Linux Lite Core. So let's just go ahead, type Lite Core. Again, this is another app which is new this time around. What this actually does, it actually allows you to strip everything that you deem unnecessary, or as Linux nerds say, bloat from your computer. I'm making a joke, guys. Don't hate me down in the comments. Basically, you can remove Bluetooth, Deja Dupe, Events, GIMP, GNOME Disks, Font Viewer, GNOME Paint, GNU Info, a lot of software directly from here. You choose any and everything that you want to. You hit remove, let's just say the screenshot tool, click on that, remove selected, confirm removal. The following will be removed, XFCE for screenshotter. This cannot be undone. Click remove, and you no longer have the ability to take screenshots on your computer. Taking screenshots is bloat, right? So we're done with removing that from our computer. Anyway, that was a fun thing to do, and let's move on to the next one. We have the Lite Distro Builder. So let's go and talk about Distro Builder. Let's check out what this is. Guys, I'm checking this with you for the first time too, right? That's pretty good. So what do we have in here? We have actions and output. So username, CD label. I think what this is used for is you can actually make your own Linux Lite using this. I'm not an expert, but if you are, you can comment down in the comment section and you can build your own distro from this page. Clear build directory, copy home folder, Plymouth theme. So you can do a lot of things from here. You can set the theme, copy whatever contents your home folder has probably, and you can build your own distro from here. You can give it a name. And as you can see, XFCE for a screenshotter tool has been removed. No more taking screenshots on this computer, guys. Congratulations. And the new thing is a Lite driver manager. Let's go to the driver manager. Let's see what it's all about. And it will look for drivers once it installs onto your computer. So let's give it a few seconds. And I don't think it really needs drivers because I'm running an extremely old laptop with Intel and Radeon cards, and all of you guys saw. So it doesn't really need new drivers. I think it's still looking for drivers. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because my internet is not the best, but I'll let it look for drivers. You know, this is important basically if you have something like NVIDIA or maybe some printers attached where the driver is not available in the kernel. So you need another driver separately for talking to your printer, for talking to your Linux graphics cards. And I basically ran this on my new laptop with an NVIDIA GPU. So it has an Intel iGPU and an NVIDIA GPU, and it refused to let me capture the second display through the capture card, right? So I just could not, for my life, get a display output. Like I would get the cursor and it was with black screen. So I just couldn't, right? So that's why I'm on the old laptop. Forgive me, but this goes to show that even on a 10-year-old computer, this is running pretty good. And it doesn't have an SSD. It does have 16 gigs of RAM. It doesn't matter too much for a Lite operating system, but it's running flawlessly. Anyway, the next thing is the new Lite Game Center. Now, this is pretty good. We're going to talk about this Game Center. Let's just go ahead and enter that, drag it to the center. And in the Live Game Center, it says gaming on Linux without the hours of setup. I think I can deal with that, having done a Fedora gaming guide video just a few days ago. You have one-click installs for Steam, Proton, Vulkan, and the Valve Performance Stack in every patch the community uses, right? So it shows you everything. It shows you if Steam is installed or not. It shows you if Vulkan is installed, if Proton GE is there, which is the version of Proton that Glorious Eggroll develops. He basically includes a lot of codecs and a lot of optimizations which are not there in the standard stable versions of Proton. Maybe they're in Proton Experimental. So he does a lot of things which are, to be honest, way beyond my pay grade. And he makes a new version of Proton, which is Proton GE, and that's supposed to be a lot better. You can also install Lutris, have the audio set to pulse audio. I'm not sure why it's not using Pipewire, but that's okay. And we're on the Linux Lite kernel, which is the default kernel out of the box. And you can also change your kernel from here. Now, what they do recommend is actually setting up everything. We are obviously not doing this because we're on a time crunch to make a video, and I just had an entire day of work for my day job, so we're not doing this. But the thing is, if you click install everything, this is just like CachyOS. It literally installs everything related to gaming on your computer. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't need a 30-minute guide from a random YouTuber, even if that guy is me, and you are good to game, right? And you can also pick your stacks, which are not the entire setups, but actually a smaller bite-sized portion. So you can install Steam Essentials, and they do mention whatever they are installing over here. So you have Vulkan stack for Steam Essentials, Steam plus Proton GE, Lutris plus Wine GE. You can also customize your computer by including different tweaks. So you have G-Sync, VRR, bigger shader cache, DLSS friendly Proton flags, Pixel Cluster VRAM overflow fix. So all of these launch commands, they do require the proprietary NVIDIA driver, which obviously you would need to install on your computer if you have an NVIDIA card. So that's that. You can also install system gaming tweaks, so vendor neutral system tuning. These were vendor specific because they're only applicable for NVIDIA. But for the neutral tweaks, you have systemctl, limits, config, Mango HUD presets, game mode, pulse audio, low latency drop-in that fix games. Stock Linux can't launch. That's pretty good. Controllers and input devices are optional. Install only the ones that you own from the buttons below. So you can install whatever you want to, right? And for controllers, if you want Bluetooth or Bluetooth support for your Xbox controllers, you can do that. If you're connecting the Xbox wireless dongle, install the drivers for that. If you have a PS5 DualSense or a gaming mice. So this is Piper. If you didn't know about Piper, basically if you own something like a G304, a G502 from Logitech, or any gaming mice from the big companies, you can modify them. You can modify them in the sense you can assign different buttons, different functionalities, different tasks, which you couldn't without the official software. So you can't download the Logitech official software on Linux, but Piper is the open source implementation of remapping and customizing the button presses on your gaming mouse. Look, I was complaining about Pipewire and Pulse Audio, and they literally have a card where you can switch to Pipewire, right? So you can replace Pulse Audio with Pipewire, and this is Valve's recommended audio server, sub 6 millisecond gaming latency, sample accurate routing, and better Bluetooth headset support. That is pretty good. Now let's open up the web page once again, and after that we have the new Kernel Manager. Actually, you can go to the Kernel Manager from the Game Center. Let's open this up back, and you can open the Lite Kernel Manager. Now inside the Kernel Manager, let's minimize this for a little bit of a clarity. As you can see, we are running on 7.0 Linux Lite kernel. So this time around, they are including two different kernels. One is your basic desktop kernel, and another is your gaming kernel. Not only can you download two different types of kernels, you already have one set to be the default. You can download the gaming kernel, and you can even set that kernel to be the one you boot into on logging in to your computer. And you can remove kernels, even clear cache, and you can change profiles between desktop profile and performance profiles as well. As if this was not enough, they also included a benchmark utility, and you can upload the benchmark results. That is excellent. That's amazing, right? Let's just go down to the kernel section. So let's just go down. So yeah, this is the kernel section, right? And they do mention that they have two different kernels, right? So this is the default Linux kernel, is what every Linux Lite installation boots into by default. It provides and it prioritizes a smooth, responsive desktop experience for everyday tasks like web browsing, office work, media playback, general use, etc., etc. Linux Lite Gaming is another gaming optimized kernel, and it says optional, right? Like, it's not that you can't game using the default kernel. You obviously can, but for the best experience, for the least input latency, Linux Lite Gaming kernel is where it's at. This kernel goes further in reducing input lag and improving frame delivery. It is best suited to users who play games regularly or run audio-video production software where timing matters. In other words, this is going to give you the least latency. It can be installed at any time after setup without removing the default kernel. Both kernels take advantage of the EEVDF scheduler on top of this. Both kernels include the full Bohr scheduler modification, so the burst-oriented response enhancer. Now, going back to our applications, we also have a menu sorter. So, we are full of applications today, right? Like, this is Christmas for me. So you can tick the menu categories, whose apps you want sorted alphabetically. The category list itself is not reordered. So you can change sort by generic name. You can have it enabled or disabled, and you have the different categories in here. And you can also remove the duplicate categories and hit apply, and it would perform the operations for you. We do have a series upgrade. So I do believe this is for upgrading the Linux Lite versions when a new version comes around. So 8.0 is the latest version, like we already know by this time, so we don't really need an upgrade. Okay, the next app is Lite Software Sources. So let's just go ahead and hit the start menu, software sources. And you also have software and software sources. So you know what, let's just go check out the software sources, and then we will talk about the new software. So for Linux software sources, what you have is, let's just go ahead and minimize these two. This is based on Ubuntu, right? So they will check out their main software from Ubuntu repositories or canonical repositories. That much we already know. So Ubuntu repos, different mirrors, you can set the mirrors closest to you, guaranteeing you have a good speed while downloading software. Third-party software, that's fine. Keys, yeah, these are the certificates. So yeah, not a whole lot to check over here. Again, minimizing this and moving over to the Lite software. And in Lite software, I mean, I love the simplicity of Linux Lite, right? You can either manage all software, install popular software, or remove the popular software that you no longer need. So install popular software. Once we click on this, it should give you a list of different apps like Audacity, Blender, Brasero, Calibre, ClamTK, which is the antivirus, CPU X, Deluge, Docker, Dropbox, Evolution, FileZilla. You have a lot of apps, and you can even search through the list for your favorite app that you want to install. You have Lutris, OBS Studio. Multiple apps are already in here, and you can install these, right? And if you wanted to remove some software you have already installed on your computer, you could do this from here. You can remove Firefox. We're not doing this right now, but you could if you wanted to in the middle of the video. And you can also manage all software. Let's just go ahead, and this is the entire repository of softwares that is there on your computer. You can go ham. You can remove anything you like and damage your computer. And the next thing is the Lite time and date, right? So time and date. So this is Linux time and date, and this is the time and date, and it's synced over the network with the systemd, time syncd, or the configured NTP service. Not a whole lot to see in here, but these are good apps, right? And you also have the update tray, which is the new. It's here, and you can check it out from here. This is probably this button, so you can configure that, and there you go. This is the Lite update tray, and this shows the check for updates every hour, minutes, and notify me when new updates appear. We can go to the system settings page. Let's go to the system settings. So where are system settings? Let's just search settings and settings manager. I think this is the graphical settings manager. So yeah, welcome to the settings page. You have everything from about Lite, about me, appearance, desktop, notifications panel, Lunar preferences, etc., etc. What do we do in here, right? I think we will go to change the wallpapers. So where are the wallpapers? It should be under desktop. In desktop, I see we have beautiful wallpapers, and yep, I do like these. They're pretty good. They're actually not bad. They're pretty good. And I like, who's this cute animal? Is this AI or painted? Not sure, man. What about these? Looks pretty good. I think these are pretty good. This has to be real. It is not AI. I can guarantee that to you. This is an AI. Anyway, I think the wallpapers look pretty good. I have a hard time choosing between what I want for the video, but all of these, they look pretty good. I promised you I'm going to show you the RAM usage. I mean, this is running from the live ISO, so it's not going to be very indicative because everything is running in RAM already. If you are running this from a hard disk or from an SSD, the RAM usage will definitely be lower. Yeah, I think this is pretty good performance for an operating system and a computer that's 10 years old running the latest software in 2026. So that's excellent. I mean, to be fair, if you put an SSD, it could run Windows, and it does run CachyOS pretty good. So that's not a big problem. So yeah, I think with that, we can comfortably come to the end of the video. Guys, I think Linux Lite has been a fantastic operating system for me to check out, and I was so excited to check this out. The new apps, the new kernel, this is going to be a lifesaver for a lot of people, and it's going to stop a lot of computers from becoming e-waste, which is what I'm most excited about. So I think with that, we come to the end of the video. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.